I'd be delighted to. There's a caveat. I didn't realize I would be sitting right under the glide path for Charlotte International Airport. So if there's any background noise, I'll apologize ahead of time. Our speaker today really is an extraordinary, and we're very fortunate to have her, especially during a week when she's incredibly busy with the observance of Veterans Day. And also, she told me this morning that she was up most of the night with a veterinary emergency of some sort, and we really hope that all that turned out well. But nonetheless, this does reinforce the benefit of our Zoom meetings instead of her having to get in a car after 3 hours sleep and go drive somewhere. So anyway, Charlotte Edwardson graduated from St. Leo University in with a BA in criminology in 2005, but she very soon after that joined the United States Marine Corps, where she served for almost 17 years. And as a part of that, I understand that she also was a family program coordinator at the Invictus Games in The Hague in 2020. And so I hope we can hear some about that during her presentation. But she is currently the Community Engagement Coordinator for Upstate Warrior Solution. And Charlotte, welcome. We're delighted to have you with us during a very special week where we celebrate our veterans.
Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you all for one, offering me the opportunity to come tell you guys about Upstate Warrior Solution, but two, thank you for what you guys are doing in the community as well. I firmly believe that one person can make a difference, and you guys are an entire club of people making a difference, and I promise it matters. So like Candace said, I grew up in Florida. I went to St. Louis University, got a degree, but while I was there, 9/11 happened, and I felt compelled to do my part and serve. So my mom made me promise to finish my college degree after we had put so much money into that. So I did that, and then I enlisted in the Marine Corps. And I served 17 years. I was a court reporter, a paralegal, and a drill instructor. But I also did, one of my additional billets was the family program liaison for the Warrior Games and for Invictus. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, the Warrior Games are essentially the Olympics for wounded, ill, and injured service members. So every year they'll go and compete against, the Marine Corps will go and compete against the Army and Air Force and everyone in wheelchair basketball, track and field, archery. I think there's 9 total sports, but it's everybody that's competing has either a wound, an illness, or an injury. So some of them pass away from cancer after their competition. Some of them recover from an amputation. It's just really incredibly moving to see, and it's totally positive. There are no negative interactions at these events, and it really, being a court reporter in the Marine Corps and seeing the bad essentially every day, I'm very adamant about like only being involved in the good now. So that's kind of how I got involved in Warrior Games. And Invictus is the international level of that. So it's service members from all these different countries that come together and they compete, same sports, just in different countries. So in February, I will be in Vancouver for the 2025 Invictus Games. Just supporting, I don't compete. I don't like to run anymore and sweat and all those things. So, but it's just incredible experience. My first experience was in the Netherlands, and it really was, you have service members from Iraq running on the same track as service members from the United States, and at the end of it, they're all high-fiving and hugging, and there are no politics or anything involved. And it's just, if the world could be the perfect place, it would be at Invictus. But so that's just the personal me. When I retired from the Marine Corps, I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And so I was medically retired, and I didn't really want to go. I thought I could, get through another 3 years to make it to final retirement, but the Marine Corps said no. So I kind of left with a bitter taste in my mouth. I was upset that I thought I had more to offer, and they weren't having, but I understand that I also put people at risk, with being sick and that kind of thing. So I moved here to Greenville. I am what you would consider best case scenario for a veteran retiring. I had a retirement, I had disability, I'm in a good relationship, I have a support system, and I didn't necessarily need a job. I made enough with my retirement and disability that I wouldn't have to work. So I moved here to Greenville. And the first 3 months were great. I did nothing but focus on myself. I went to the gym. I read books again, finding out who I'm going to be when I grow up, but after about 3 months, I got this feeling and I was like, I think I might be depressed. I don't know what this is, but like something is missing. So I looked up ways to volunteer in Greenville, South Carolina, and Upstate Warrior Solution popped up. So I volunteered at their Christmas party. Every year they provide gifts to 25-ish low-income veterans, and they buy the gifts, they wrap the gifts, they give them to the veteran to present to their kids on Christmas Day. So it's not something where they come and the kids genuinely think it's from their parents, which is really important for some veterans who are struggling with their self-identity and that kind of thing. So volunteered at the Christmas party and I found my purpose again. I knew I had to be involved in Upstate Warrior Solution. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I got a little PowerPoint together that's going to tell you all about Upstate Warrior Solution. Okay. Can everyone see that? Okay. Okay. So we are a nonprofit organization here in the upstate of South Carolina. We cover 5 counties: Spartanburg, Anderson, Pickens, Greenville, and I'm missing one, Oconee County. Yeah. And I'm sorry, the court reporter in me only has 1 talk speed and it's super fast. So if I need to slow down, just raise your hand or get my attention. And if you have any questions, throw them in the chat or keep them till the end and I'll come back to you. But so we service the 5 counties in the upstate and we service veterans, first responders, and their families. And that's one of the things that separates us from other services and organizations is that we include families. We realize that they're a big component and a piece to veteran well-being and first responder well-being. And so we include them in essentially everything that we do. And our mission is essentially to connect them to resources that already exist. So we don't want to recreate the wheel. We're not trying to start a new program. We're not trying to create anything new. We just want to, essentially we're the concierge for veterans and service members and first responders to come to us and say, hey, these are my issues. And we say, okay, here's where you need to go for that issue. Here's where you go for this one. And we're trying to lead them through self-empowerment. So we don't want to do all the things for them. We want them to, for example, when they come to us and they're behind on rent, we will help them with rent, but under the facade that they also have to seek our financial counseling. So they have to sit down and do a budget with a professional financial advisor so that we're not just sticking a Band-Aid over it and 2 months from now we're back to paying rent. We're not in the business of just fixing it here and now. We want to fix it long run. And our focus is local. We're not really looking to spread outside of those 5 counties right now, just because we are so overwhelmed with needs and everything already. So we want to focus here and get everything as good as possible. We do sprinkle a little bit down in Greenwood. We've got a couple partners down there and we realize there's a lot of veterans there as well. So we do dabble down there a little bit. We do everything. I know that sounds cliche, but we really do. We help getting out of the military. Sometimes it's hard to translate what you did in the military into a civilian language that is a desirable trait for an employee. So for example, if you worked in tanks, there are no tanks in the civilian world. And so putting that into a language that makes you employable can be difficult. So we have an employment team who will help create resumes. They do mock interviews. They connect you to organizations who are looking specifically to hire veterans. We have a entrepreneurship program. I think you've all heard of Shark Tank on TV, where people come in, they present their ideas to these millionaires and they decide whether or not they want to give them a loan. And so we have our own version of that. And we just donated $5,000 to a veteran who wanted to start his own business. I can't remember specifically what his business was, but there are some really good ones out there. And I just love that we're encouraging them to chase dreams and try new things. We have our family services program. We do free legal clinics for veterans and first responders and their families to come and get a free will. We've got a mental health. Right now, we're partnering with the VA to try to identify and make an impact on veteran suicide. So every veteran that walks through our door, we screen them to see if they have any indications of being at risk for suicide. And if they do, we list them in a category: high, low, medium risk. And depending on their category, that opens up more resources. So for example, if they're high risk and they indicated that they're unemployed, they're currently going through grief of a loss of a loved one, and they're behind on finances, obviously, because they're unemployed, we have a separate pot of money that we can help pay for daycare while they go to an interview, or if we need to buy them an interview outfit or something like that. So we realize that the small things can really add up and cause a big impact on mental health. And so we're our biggest push right now is trying to identify who is at risk, what they're at risk for, and how we can bridge the gap between us and the VA. Currently, it's estimated that there are over 100,000 veterans in those 5 counties in the upstate, and we have already contacted 10,000 of them and screened 2,000 of them for suicide. These are some of our numbers of the things that we offer and how we've helped them, just for big picture from when we started in 2017 until February of this year. So legal services can be anything from providing them free wills or helping them get a medical power of attorney. And like I said before, we don't want to start anything new. So we're not trying to create a club of lawyers who want to come do our wills. That already exists. The South Carolina Attorney General already does that. And we go out into the community and we try to find lawyers who will do them at discounted rate if they can't wait for the next clinic, because they're only about 4 months. They're about 4 times a year. So we really want to go out into the community and convince the community to help us help the veterans. Let's see, we've helped over 4,000 of them find jobs, education benefits. When I got out, I have the GI Bill. I knew that I could use it, but I didn't know anything more than that. And how do I request, to start those benefits from the VA? How do I pick a school? How do I know what to go to school for? And so we have, we're partners with Clemson and North Greenville University, and they sit down and they talk to veterans getting out and figure out what their new interests are. For the last 17 years, I was told what to do, what to wear, what to like, what my profession was going to be. So I really struggled when I got out, like figuring out, is this something that I truly like, or is this something that I made myself like because I had to do it anyway? And so we help veterans get connected with the VA to do disability claims and get enrolled in the clinics so they can go get medical care. Okay, so community solutions, that's what I was talking about. We don't want to create anything new. We just want to get out in the community, see what's already out there, and ask them to get involved with veterans. And we're not asking for everything to be free. We just want them to one, acknowledge that there is a need, and then 2, what ways can we support each other? So a lot of our big key partners are Prisma. They help us run our recreation program. We have the VA, churches do a lot for us, schools do a lot for us. They write cards and they collect things for our Meals on Wheels delivery to veterans, and that kind of thing. So again, we don't want to create a program where we're delivering meals out to veterans because that already exists. We just want to make it better, and we want to help promote it. First responders go through almost everything that veterans go through, yet they get half the resources, or there aren't a lot of things out there for them. So we're trying to create a program that will cover those gaps. And a lot of first responders are also veterans. So we have started a program, it's called Peer Support, and it's every couple months we will offer first responders to come and go through one of our 5-hour classes where they sit down and they are taught how to identify risks between their partners and how to ask for help without asking for help, because that's such a big thing, and it's really good. And then we invite their spouses to come in too, because a lot of times they don't want to carry that home and they want it to be a separate thing, but that can also cause, trouble down the line. So we're really just trying to give them the tools to seek help. Deputy Seymour is a Greenville County Sheriff who last December or January, his wife and child were out of town visiting her mother, and he woke up to the smell of smoke, and his entire house had caught on fire from their Christmas tree. And the picture on the left is his house, and as you can see, everything was gone, totally everything. He was able to save the family cat and dog, Miss Julia, so for all the animal lovers, yes. So he saved them, but his family came back, and then now they don't have anywhere to stay. So we got involved, and again, we're just trying to find ways for the community to get involved. And we reached out to Carolina, the Surprise Squad, and they surprised them with a $5,000 check. They started a GoFundMe. We were able to get a year-long membership to the Children's Museum for their daughter, Build-A-Bear, let her come in and replace 3 of her you know, stuffed animals. And again, these seem like small things, but when you've lost everything, it can be such a big impact. And the parents, first thing they said was they were just concerned with how they were going to tell her daughter she no longer had clothes, stuffed animals, didn't have a bed to sleep in, and that kind of thing. And then when Fox aired that, someone who owns an Airbnb here in Greenville said, you know, let's get them out of the hotel. They can come stay in my Airbnb for free. So it's just, again, us saying, hey, community, here's our problem. How can you help us? And I put the link to the Surprise Squad video. If you're interested, you want to copy and paste that in there, you can do that. We have a Justice Involved program. So we service everyone. It doesn't matter if they spent 1 year in the military, 30 years, if they were honorably discharged, if they were bad conduct discharged, it doesn't matter. We recognize their service, and we recognize that they can still be productive members of society. So we have a Justice Involved program, and anytime a veteran is arrested in any of those 5 counties, they will reach out to Jonathan Keever, who works for us, and say, hey, we arrested John Smith last night. He's a veteran and he's in Greenville County. So Keever will go, or Jonathan will go visit him in the jail, figure out what his charges are, and help him try to apply for Veterans Treatment Court. And those are, it has to be certain charges and that kind of thing. It can't be like your 3rd offense, but essentially, if it's your first drug offense or a DUI or something like that, we can put them through Veterans Treatment Court. It's a 12-month program where they're assigned a mentor. They're given drug tests. They have to complete certain courses and classes, and at the end of that 12 months, if they've completed the program and everything, they will be, their charges will be either expunged or lessened so that they can still have a job, hold a job, and do all the things. And so that's one of our biggest things. And a lot of them really are just substance abuse things because they haven't been taught how or where to deal with their other issues. We have a family services program. She did not send me her slide in time. So that if we consider anyone family, if it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, great grandchild, if you were related to a service member, you can benefit from our programs. And within those programs, we offer therapeutic art. There are family event days. So they just a couple weekends ago went to Denver Downs for free, which you guys know it can get pricey if you have 3 kids. And so these are experiences that these veteran families would never get to experience if they didn't have the financial support from Upstate Warrior Solution and our community. But therapeutic painting, cell phone photography, there's crocheting, like that. It doesn't matter. And again, this is where we tell the community, hey, we offer these programs because we want veterans to come in and be able to talk through these things or do something with their family that's a positive light. And someone calls in and they say, you know, I have a Cricut machine and I want to help make Christmas mugs for these families. So really it's just us. What are your skills? What can you offer and how can we partner together? We have an employment and entrepreneurship program that I talked about a little bit earlier. And I emailed this to Miss Julia. So if I am going too fast, you can grab the slides later from her. The Staff Sergeant Fox Prevention Program is the suicide program that I was telling you about earlier. Staff Sergeant Fox was an Army veteran who took his life at the age of 25, super young, and his parents went to the VA and said, we've got to do something. So the VA created this program to help us identify veterans who are at risk, and so that we can not essentially focus all of our efforts there, but be aware and make a more cognizant effort of helping them. So we have what we call our Fox participants, and those are the veterans who have been identified at risk and at high risk. And we do so every one Friday of every month, we go out to Eden Farms, which is a horse farm in Marietta, South Carolina, and they have a equine therapy program. So they go out there for 2.5 hours, and they do the equine therapy with the horses. And we have a volunteer that will either sponsor their lunch or cook them lunch, and we limit it to 5 veterans each event, so that it really truly is personal. They eat the lunch, and then we have a mental health counselor come in and they do kind of a group therapy for 2 hours. And it's really great. I've gone to every single one of them. And, you know, these big guys that were infantry and they come in with all their neck tattoos and their dip, you know, and I'm like, oh, they're not going to get anything out of this. They're going to be the one that are quiet in the corner and refuse to open up. And almost every time they're the first one to cry, the first one to say, oh, I needed this so much. So again, it's just a positive thing, and it's getting them out of their homes, which is the biggest battle for us, is getting them 1 out of their homes and then 2 out of their own headspace. These are pictures from a couple of so on the right is the horse farm last week. And these are all veterans who are at risk working together to try to get a saddle on a horse, but they're not allowed to use verbal communication. And as you can see, one of them is blindfolded. So it's teaching them how to communicate other than screaming and yelling or, having emotional outbursts and stuff. And it was actually really funny. The girl kept pointing, move the saddle this way, but the guy was blindfolded. So it just takes a minute, but it was really good. They loved it. And then on the left, those are all Fox participants who participated in the BMW experience up here. They have a BMW track, and you can go out and they teach them, how to drive the cars and all that. And they let them kind of have free reign on the track with their cool BMWs. And again, we're not trying to create these cool programs for them. This already exists. And we had a sponsor who paid for all 12 of them to go and participate. And again, it's just getting them out of their homes, getting them out of their headspace, and trying to find something that they can engage in now that gives them the same thrill, the same purpose, or finding something that they can enjoy now. We have a spiritual support program. So most of the time when we're in the military, we just go to whatever church is closest to base, or maybe the one on base, or wherever, when we didn't have cars as junior Marines, we would just ride with whoever. So when we get out, we kind of really are, same as the education thing, like what is my faith? And how do I find one of those churches in the community? So we have a chaplain, he retired from the Army, who kind of sits down and talks to veterans, figures out what their faith is, and tries to connect them to churches. And on the flip side of that, he tries to connect churches to some of our missions. So this year, we did a Meals on Wheels delivery to over 300 veterans in Greenville County, and the majority of the churches collected the majority of those food items that we took to them: the oatmeal, the crackers, the toilet paper, the things that these immobile veterans can't easily access. So we have an outdoor rec program. We partner with Prisma, who gets a grant from the VA, and we have a plethora of events. We do archery, kayaking, whitewater rafting, pickleball, cycling, and they can be adaptive or they can be able-bodied. Yoga, and all of them are free to veterans. They just have to show up and participate or not participate. Really just getting them there is one of our biggest challenges. And so when they come and they're like, okay, I could try this, it really is good. It's just positive and uplifting when you see a veteran who's like struggling, smile over pickleball. Like his name was Mr. Gary. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he's got a below the knee amputation, and we invited him out to a pickleball event, and he was like, I can't do that, I can't get around like I used to. And he's an older gentleman. In 3 months, and that was 2 years ago, 3 months ago, he just won a pickleball tournament here in Greenville with other veterans. So, and he loves it. So let's see, so here's some pictures. On the right is some whitewater rafting that we did in Chattanooga, Georgia, if that's a thing. And then on the left is one of our ski trips up in Maggie's Valley, North Carolina. And again, these are opportunities that the veterans would never be able to capitalize on based off of income, probably. And any income is welcome to come, but we pay for them to go stay in a hotel the night before so that they can wake up early, get on the slopes, get their lessons and the equipment stuff, do a full day of skiing, and then come back, and we provide their meals and everything. So they don't have to worry about anything again, except for showing up. And that's 75% of the battle for half of these. But you can see on the left what a good turnout we had that year. That was actually last January. And Miss Shirley, I don't know if you can tell, but some of the faces in there are actually the faces of the Marines in your screen display behind you. They're local Marines here at the Marine unit here. So, and that's another one of our, we want to connect veterans with people who are still serving, because we do have a sense of wanting to belong and still feel like, we can joke around and that kind of thing. So putting them all in one big group is really beneficial to them as well. We are housed in the Rupert Hughes Veterans Center in Greenville. That's our headquarters on Pelham Road, but we have some single offices in all of those counties as well. The idea of the Rupert Hughes Veterans Center is that we can fix an entire person, a whole person in one place. So we don't want them, when a veteran comes through the door, we don't want to say, okay, you need to go to University Drive for this, and then you need to go down to Simpsonville for this need and that kind of thing. So within our building, we have Veterans United Home Loans, we've got a realtor, we've got a financial counselor, we've got a chiropractor, a law firm, anything that they could possibly need is all located in our one building. There are a couple places that they would have to leave, so we don't do disability claims. They would have to go to the Veterans Service Officer, but We also have people from their office come to us once a month and do them within our building as well. We have a fitness center. We've got a cafe with free Wi-Fi. We've got conference rooms that they can use to start book clubs. We've got a group of 80-year-old veterans who come every Friday, and they call themselves the Romeos, and they just drink coffee in our cafe and invite anybody to come sit down and chat with them. And it's started at like 4 of them, and now there's up to 12 of them, and they're all in their 80s, and they just come in and drink coffee and, you know, chit chat on Fridays. Okay, so that's kind of what we do. If you'd like to get connected, you can scan that QR code. That'll take you to our website, and on our website you can see what some of our events are. You can see some of our feel-good stories. For example, we've connected 3 veterans to vehicles this last in 1 month. They didn't have vehicles, and now that they have vehicles, they can get jobs, they can go to their kids' school events, they can visit family for Thanksgiving. On Thursday, Progressive Insurance is donating a car to a Navy veteran who hasn't had his own car in 25 years. And they asked him, what's the first thing you're going to do? And he said, I'm going to go to a grocery store that isn't the Family Dollar, because that's the closest to his apartment that he has to walk to with his buggy. And so we, Lean Kitchen has donated a month's worth of free meals to him. Foot Solutions is a shoe store that's donating a brand new pair of shoes to him. Planet Fitness has donated a year-long membership to him. So again, we're just going out to the community and saying, hey, we have a veteran here who had open heart surgery and a hip replacement all last year. He has no vehicle and no family here. How can you help us? And then these are the organizations and people that have come to us and said, this is what we want to do. If you'd like to get involved, the biggest thing that we'd ask of you is to send any veteran that you know, any first responder, any of their family members to us. We firmly believe that no one comes to us without a need. I came under the facade of wanting to volunteer, but really I had a need to connect, a need to find purpose again, and that kind of thing. So we understand all we have to do is get them through the door, and then we can find ways to make them useful. You can donate if you'd like. You can partner with us if you'd like to do a coat drive for kids. And this is as an organization or individually. If you'd like to sponsor the lunch for the horse farm equine therapy, any way that you feel moved to get involved, we welcome it. Yesterday, we went to an assisted living facility and presented 11 veterans with certificates and pins and thanked them for their service. And it was great. You could tell no one had talked to them about their time in service for quite some time. One lady asked if we could come back and do it all again at 2 p.m. And then she asked if we could come back at Christmas. So they love it. Their families, the facility employees take pictures and send it to their kids who live out of state and everything. So it really is a big impact for them. And then last thing I want to tell you about is every Memorial Day, we host a hike that honors service members and first responders from South Carolina who were killed in the line of duty. And you can sign up for the 6-mile or the 12-mile hike. And we invite the families of those service members and first responders who were killed to come read their loved ones' bios. And so it's really touching. Last year we had someone travel all the way from the Low Country to come and read her husband's bio. And everybody at the hike hugs her, thanks her for her service, tells her we're never going to forget his name. So it's more than just us doing a hike and getting the community together to remember these people. It's really about supporting the families and letting them truly know we won't forget. So I don't know if you remember the officer in Easley last year who was killed saving someone off of a train track, but he was honored at this last hike. And now his mom is thoroughly embedded with us, Miss Ashley, and she does a lot for us, and she wants to raise awareness and that kind of thing. So it really the purpose of our organization is just to bring the community together in order to help veterans and first responders. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Charlotte. You're right, a lot of information.
I know, I'm so sorry.
The slides, don't be sorry. It's always good. And we always record the presentation and put it on our YouTube channel so people can link back to it too if there was something that they remembered and they want to look it up. But so we always share that with our members after. So there are a couple questions from the chat. And so I'm just going to go through and they're kind of in random order. But the first one is, does Upstate Warriors work in any way with the Wounded Warriors Project?
Yes, they're one of our partners. And so they put on a lot of events. Their headquarters is in North Carolina, I think Raleigh, North Carolina, but they have a shared space in our building. They come sit the last Friday of every month, but they also do programs and events here in Greenville and Spartanburg and that kind of thing. So when they have an event here, they reach out to us and say, hey, we've got 3 spots left at Topgolf on Friday. Do you have any veterans who'd like to come? And we send those invites out to our Fox participants, the at-risk for suicide veterans. We send it to them first so that they can have first dibs and that kind of thing. And then it goes out to the general public.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question is, do you know the % of people that you're helping veterans versus first responders? And I know you said there's some overlap in that some veterans come back and become a first responder, but I think, you know, we don't hear of many programs that are helping our first responders that are kind of facing the same types of usually emotional traumas that that veterans face.
Yes, ma'am. So I don't know the percentage, but our first responder program is fairly new, like within the last 2 years. So we haven't had an opportunity to do a lot of outreach. And like I said, we don't have, because we're a nonprofit, we don't have a lot of money to throw into creating these programs. So the peer support and everything, we raise money to pay for that class, and the therapist that comes, the counselor comes to give that class has its own personal business as well. So it's really in its infancy with how many first responders we're reaching, and the majority of them are law enforcement and previous veterans. So, but we just partnered with the Fire Department Association for the hike this year. So we're hoping to get more firefighters involved with the hike and raising awareness and that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, good. Hopefully we'll hear more about that too. And then regarding education, are colleges willing to award credit for prior learning, college credit for work and experience while on active duty when they come back?
Yep. So that was one thing that I didn't know as well. I just thought I would have to start from scratch, you know, back in college. But there's a program that most universities have it, but we send our military transcripts to this organization, and then they will translate it into whatever college course that equates to and how many credits it equates to. So none of us are actually starting from the bottom anymore. All of our military classes and our experience can go towards either another degree, or the certificate that I received in the Marine Corps for being a court reporter was what I needed equivalent wise in the civilian world. So if I wanted to get out and become a court reporter, I didn't need to go to school. I already had the certification, passed the test, and that kind of thing. Nice. And colleges are very especially here in the upstate, especially Clemson, are very military friendly, and they're looking, you know, to ways to get involved and encourage veterans to just get back in school. And that's another big thing we have. You know, veterans come to us and they're depressed and they don't have a job and those kind of things. And we're like, well, school could fix a lot of this. You'll get, you know, your basic housing allowance, you'll meet other veterans, you'll have purpose, you know, and finding school. So we're really just trying to find the one thing that will get them out of their home, whether it's recreation, whether it's education, whether it's employment, and that kind of thing.
Awesome. Great. And then working with other groups like the American Red Cross, like with immediate needs for like the house fire or housing, if there's a, you know, a short-term disaster or something, do you guys partner with the Red Cross?
Not directly, but we do, for example, the storm in Asheville, there's Veterans Bridge Home was a hotel that was renovated, and they were housing displaced or homeless veterans, and it was totally wiped out. So we went up to help Team Rubicon, who's another organization, kind of muck it out, and we delivered food and clothing and that kind of thing. So we don't work directly with them, but if there's ever a need, we'll be the first ones to jump on it, and we're more than happy. We welcome that opportunity.
And different change total time. Like I said, these questions are in random order. So do you know how many similar programs there are in the US to this program, helping connect warriors with other programs that are local?
There are a ton of programs. None of them necessarily, well, I don't want to say none of them, very few of them are the holistic approach. So like Wounded Warriors is mostly or they have a certain demographic that they serve. So some of them will only serve combat veterans, like the Vet Center here. They gear towards serving combat veterans or veterans who have deployed. So we're essentially one of very few that focus on the holistic approach. Come to us with any need. Come to us, you know, no matter what some of the organizations, you have to have an honorable discharge. That doesn't matter to us. So I would say that we're the one and only. We definitely are the one and only here in the upstate, and we're the only one that has a true veteran center in the United States.
And it's great that you guys encompass so many different areas of, there's a lot of different ways that veterans can have needs. And so trying to be more holistic in the way you're approaching it is pretty awesome to bring that together. Last question that's in the chat is, do you guys ever use the services of Toastmasters International or link people with Toastmasters for helping them with public speaking or?
I have never heard of Toastmasters, but I'm writing it down right now because it sounds great. And I hate public speaking, so maybe I'll look into that for myself as well.
Well, that is pretty much their whole mission, is to help people become more comfortable with public speaking. And so they do welcome people to help when you, when you're trying to train some people that maybe have never had to speak in public. So yeah, definitely would put that up. I'm sure they would be a great ally.
I will do that. And that was one of the problems is one of the problems with a lot of our job interviews in the military. You don't necessarily have to interview for a position. You have to take the right classes, do the right things, and you're evaluated on your ability. So when, I sat down, I literally the night before my interview to work at UWS, I was looking up interview questions, and, I really had no idea how to speak. And that's another thing in the military, you learn to be humble and not necessarily make things about yourself. But most interview questions are, tell us about your strengths and your weaknesses. And so I really was like, I can tell you all about my weaknesses, but I'm not comfortable talking about my strengths, so, but yeah. So, okay, I'll definitely look that one up. Thank you for whoever put that out there.
Lene, go ahead.
Just real quick. First of all, Charlotte, you could teach a Toastmaster session. You're an excellent speaker. You may talk fast, but you get your words across you articulate very well. Let's put it that way. And just real quick, Toastmasters and Rotary has a connection. So when you look it up, that may very well be something that you'll also be interested in.
And one of the other questions from the chat is, what programs could you provide with additional funding? Like, is there an area that you feel like is not being met yet, a need that's kind of underfunded?
That's a tough one. So if we were given more funding, we probably would pour it into the Fox program, because we are not, the VA gives us money to help identify who these veterans are and at risk and that kind of thing, but we can only use the money for certain things. So we can't use it for therapy. We can't use it to take them all to lunch one day and that kind of thing. And a lot of times, so the VA, the veteran will connect them to the VA. We've identified that they're at risk and their appointment won't be for 3 weeks, or, it's all the way in Asheville, or, whatever the circumstance is. And so sometimes there are scenarios or situations where we would love to be able to just take $85 out of our pot of money and send them to a counselor, here in Greenville, until they can be seen at the VA. So we try to have the community do a lot of the heavy lifting financially. So for example, we have a partner here in Greenville who has donated 100 live Christmas trees, tree stands and ornaments and lights that we'll be giving out in December. And there's, again, we try to send them to the Fox participants first. And so we've never had an opportunity where a Fox participant didn't get to participate. So that's the best part, but we don't want it just to be, we don't want them to be our only focus. We realize that there are people out there that are not Fox participants that are still struggling and that kind of thing. So we do use a lot of, anytime someone calls and asks us if they can do a drive for us, we love to ask for gift cards, because that's the easiest, fastest way to help a veteran who's come in and can't make it to work tomorrow because they're low on gas, or with the storm and the food spoilage thing. A lot of them didn't have the insurance that will replenish the groceries and stuff. So one last example, we for the first responders who end up getting injured in the line of duty, Lucas Watts was shot in the head. He was an Oconee County sheriff, and his wife was driving from Oconee to Greenville every single day and back to visit him in the hospital, and they had a child at home and that kind of thing. So being able to offset gas prices or give a family gift card to stop at Firehouse Subs on their way home so that they're not having to cook, those are some of our biggest needs.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, we're running out of time. And so I definitely want to thank you for such an amazing presentation. And also to say that there was some comments in the chat too, just really excellent program. And I think Ken had made a comment that it definitely would be a program that would love to see replicated in other states and nationally, because it is very holistic. So we like to thank our speaker by dedicating a book to you. It'll have your name in it, and it goes into a little free library thanking you for speaking to our club. And this book was chosen Veterans Heroes in Our Neighborhood. And we hope that you enjoy this thought in your honor, and really, really thankful for having you speak with us today.
I
And
do. I love it. Thank you so much.